to another edition of Comics Cast. Let it out on a beautiful Sunday, October 9th. Fall is in the air. Anyway, I just want to welcome you all to the show. If you don't know what Comics Cast is about, we are all about the indie creator. So if you're a penciler, a storyteller, a publisher, if you're in the indie comics community, we want to help get eyes on you. And that's what this show is about. Let it out. That's where we spotlight one of those indie creators, or if it's a team, and in this case, if it's an individual who's a man of many talents, we want to tell your story, your creative journey. And if you have a crowdfunding or any type of venture that we can help promote, we're there for you as well. So today we have a very special guest. His name is Charles W. Morgan. And I just want to make sure that you know his name because he's a very talented individual. He does have a crowdfunding going on right now. Super talented man. He's a writer, artist, editor, and his creative story. I'm going to be so happy to share that with you. So stand by. This is another edition of Comics Cast. Let it out. Coming at you. Hello. Charles, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody having me on the show, Gerald.
Oh, no problem. Now, I just want to give a little bit of a heads up, and I don't know if it's just me, but there's a little bit of an audio delay. So we're going to be doing a little bit of conversational acrobatics here, and there'll be a little bit of a pause between comments and things like that. So that way we can make sure that Charles hears me and Charles can respond. And of course, if we have anybody that's in the audience that says anything or says anything in the chat, I'll make sure to put that up there. But like I said, we're going to probably try and do like a 1 to 2 second delay between comments. So that way we can make sure the audio catches up. But I want to welcome Charles, you to the show. In the short time that we've got to know each other, I've just been so impressed with your work and saw your Kickstarter, and it's going to be our duty here, our honor to try and get those numbers up there. But before we get to that Kickstarter, we're going to talk about your creative journey. So before we do that, I want to actually, let me get this into the comments field and post it here and put it up here. All righty. So if you look here below, you can follow Charles on Instagram and Twitter. I want you to note that. I don't want you to go there just yet because we want your eyes here on the show. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit. Of course, you can go into the comments field and copy and paste it, and you can bookmark it, but we definitely don't want you to go there just yet. So as we start the show, let's get to the part of it which we call the origin story, because, we like to keep it very comic-centric. So origin story aside, we know that you come from the planet Krypton because you're our Superman, Charles. I'm going to hand the mic over to you and talk a little bit about your creative journey. And while you do that, I'm going to pull up some PDFs of artwork that you sent me so we can have that as a visual backdrop to your story. So mic is in your hands. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you. Yes. So I started out like a lot of people do. You're reading comics at an early age, and gave us some comic books. And we started reading comics, and I think I remember seeing Jack. It was a book called Commandy, and we were reading through those books. And I was a little young for that style of books. I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it. But then later on, as I got older, X-Men, and I believe John Byrne had did the art on that book. Very exciting to me to see the art that just to read a really cool book that had a lot of as well as story. And as far as my drawing, to look at books and try to copy things, and I had a cousin named Mike. It was really cool just to see the drawings that he had. And what was really amazing was he. Yes.
Oh, I was going to say that aside from the influences that you said that you had with your cousin and how that influenced you, you actually were published at an early age. You want to talk a little bit about how you got into the industry at the ripe age of 9 years old?
Well, I was actually 11, but
Oh,
yes, that's
11.
okay.
11 years old. Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, yes. So I had an uncle who was actually a cartoonist for 40 years. So,
Uh-huh.
when we go to his house, I'd see his drawing table and his light and ink, and I knew that he was making a living from drawing cartoons, and I was just like, wow, this is so awesome. I talked to him about it, and he says, hey, it looks like you got a little talent. Maybe you could try. He gave me an address to send some cartoons to, and I think I sent 3 or 4. And I got they actually accepted it, and I got a little check for $7. Yeah, that was my first time selling anything.
Oh, pro! You became pro. 11 years old, you became a pro. Yeah, and so from there, I
Yeah.
noticed that we showed some earlier artwork there. You did stuff for obviously you said you were influenced by John Byrne, but you also I think I saw there a high school annual that you work on. Were you on like photojournalism as well?
Yeah, sitting in English class, I think my freshman year of high school at Powell Valley High School in Tennessee, and on the back of my my notebook, because we were supposed to be working on homework. And just as detailed as I could do it, And the bell rang, and I get up to walk out of class, the notebook out of my hand. And I thought I was in trouble. Well, I was like, I'm going to the office. He just loved it and said, Charles, could you draw the cover for our annual for us? And I said,
Oh.
so yeah, that was the gold Indian on the black book there. So
Yeah, and I can tell from your, we're as you're talking about your early art career here. So, let's take a look at this stuff. And here's that annual cover that we had talked about. Here, I was just going to say that your artistic skill at an early age. I mean, look at this Captain America. I think a lot of artists that are older now that they'd be quite challenged to do something that you were as nice as this when you were earlier in your artistic career. You did this. Was this like when you were what? Was this 11 years old or a little bit older? What? How old were you when you did this?
I think I was 18 at that point.
Okay. Yeah, and I can tell
Yeah.
you were already developing skills here with some hatch work, and you did your own coloring. Me, I have such a phobia of inking, and shoot, I don't even think I would try coloring, but I can see the influence here, of John Byrne. And, here I remember, I don't know if you were familiar, but I also see, to me, I see all that classic 80s artists that I loved. I mean, I'm going to mispronounce his name.
Yeah.
I think his name is Jackson Geiss or Gintz. I think he did X Factor or Bob Layton. Yeah, yes. And there was a Bob Layton who did had a nice Iron Man run. But yeah, I see a lot of that same influence here. I think if you and I grew up together, we would be best friends. We would have been like, of course, you would have been doing the high school annual cover. I would have been that guy in the background who would just be like going, rooting for you and saying, yeah, I'm glad that you got it. But so cool. You can see that your penmanship and your inking, it just developed at such an early age here. But then let's go to your fan art. So I was showing this, and here you have your fan. You can capture actor likenesses as well. Is this something that have you, aside from the comic art, did you ever want to do like realistic portraits and things like that? Was that something that you wanted to do?
Not so much the realistic portrait. I kind of became a fan of Neil Adams, and his kind of way of
yes,
adding, those inkers that come out of his studio, like Joseph Rubinstein. Those guys really knew how to finish the awesome. And Joseph is actually a mentor of mine and a teacher. He's really tuned me up on the inking stuff,
Well, I tell you, if you're going to learn from somebody, learn from a master, and big fan of Joseph Rubenstein too. I just want to let you know you got some fans here that are popping into the comments field. I did pop up. Let's just repeat it here. I'm gonna have we got Shane. I think he hails all the way from, like, I forgot what part of England he hails from, but you got some international fan flavor here that's showing up. He says some great images there, and I
Great.
think you know this.
Great.
I think you know this gentleman, Mr. Philip Russert. Charles is an awesome guy with an awesome book, and yeah, we're gonna get to that awesome book. And here we go. It's like Philip put in there. It's like Bob McLeod. McLeod. I think I know I'm gonna mispronounce that, but anyway, he is. Yes. And so you definitely see the influences in your artwork. And, it's just coincidental that we stopped on this or that I stopped on this piece when I was showing, because to me, I look at this piece and it is there's so much like drama and story that I feel like this could tell something. It's just, it's moody.
Yeah.
Those deep dark shadows, and the way that you've done those, the hatching and the lighting, it just makes me feel it's like what could be lurking, around the corner or down the alley, or is something coming down from the night sky. Was this a commission piece, or was this something that you just threw together? Is there a story behind this?
It was really me trying to tune up and make, try to learn and light and shadows, because the crime noir style books are done in this way, and if you can get that mood and the shadows and light, it just, like you said, and I was just trying to get, just trying to tune up my technique a little bit, and just try to establish a look and feel.
Well, I tell you, this is like if this was your practice, if this was your, you learning, I guess I'm going to say this is like the precursor to the crime noir style that we're going to actually see in your book. Hint, hint. We didn't even mention exactly what that book was going to be about, but you can tell that the theme is going to be crime noir. So this is foreshadowing in terms of like what you're going to expect to see from his Kickstarter book that's currently its campaign is currently going right now. But let's keep on going here. I know that you said you were a big fan of John Byrne, so I can definitely see why where this came from. I have to say, and I think we agreed when we talked yesterday, John Byrne in the '80s, his Fantastic Four ruled. Between that and the X-Men run that he did, yeah, just beautiful stuff. And I can see the influence. The Thing is a very hard character to like interpret. Some people just, it's a very difficult character to interpret. And I can see the John Byrne influences, but it's still very much Charles here. And then doing a young, this is one thing I'm going to say that you are superior to John Byrne in this respect, is you can draw kids. So as talented as John Byrne is that I think that he struggled a little bit with drawing kids, but I think you did a great job with drawing Franklin Richards here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you.
So hopefully John Byrne isn't going to come down to Virginia and like beat down my door and burn down my house because I said that. But very, 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 very cool. Here, let's keep on going here, and I can say this is you perfecting that crime noir look that's going to be coming down the pipe here. Just really great use of inking. So I see this was 2021 here. So again, this is a little bit later, but you've obviously, it's a more recent illustration. So I can see that you've already honed your craft here in terms of getting ready to like do the book. Let's keep on going. Here's another picture of the Thing.
Right.
Oh my gosh! Now let's talk about this piece. Yeah, go ahead.
This is from the movie Outlaw Josie Wood, and I've always liked his look, and especially this particular from the internet. So I thought, I think I can do this. So I did it, and I had a look on this. He's like, Charles, you need to do this and this, and he was right. If you listen to a good outcome.
Yeah, I have to say that this is I was this piece because I'm a fan of Clint Eastwood, but inking, I can definitely tell like I mean this is something I really admire in terms of you being able to take us to another level, because if you don't do the hatch work right, it just becomes like a mess. And that's usually what happens with me. So I look at this, and then aside from the hatching being vertical, horizontal, like diagonal straight strokes, your
Right.
curves. I mean, if you look at his beard and his hair, finding that balance here, like even where his collar, with the using the positive negative space, just choosing to like to fill that in. Um, it's just it communicates really well, and then you use much more cross hatching, and that actually creates that illusion of it being more in the foreground. So again, this is just really subtle things that you do to create depth. Because obviously when you do inking, unless you do ink wash, you can't do those subtleties and shadows and light. So you have to rely on the hatch work and the density and the if it's curving or if it's just straight strokes. Um, just phenomenal
Right.
work. And it just made me, as like I said, I really paid attention to this because it made me really appreciate the technique and what you're trying to do here. So we're gonna keep on going. I want to show a little bit more of some of these artwork that you provided to me. Again, this is another example of like you can easily, if you don't do hatching right, that jacket could just completely look like a blob.
Yeah.
And I think that you create those textures and those layers. It's just really really cool. We have another Captain America
Thank
here.
you.
And this I think was really neat because it showed we would go from a comic style to kind of like a cartoon style, which
Yeah.
even has
I was
lettering in it. What's the story behind this one?
Yeah. So, I used to do gag cartoons even up until around. There's a couple magazines that bought my work every month, and
Hmm.
I've always kind of liked to, I thought, what would it look like in a cartoony kind of style?
Uh-huh.
So I just sit down, drew a couple, right, and then I threw a little color in there, and I was
Uh-huh.
just all that was, yeah, just having
Yeah,
some
I,
fun with it
I look
and
at
trying to see what it looked like.
yeah, I can see that you were having fun here with it, and it actually is kind of neat that you do this like silhouette character, which is like crime noir, and then you have this
Yeah,
cartoon thing. It's like it reminds me of something that would be like in a Mad magazine, the spy versus spy, type things. But
yeah,
the color,
right.
it just definitely adds. I can see that the fun that you had in terms of putting this together. And then we have this piece. Another example of you mastering light and shadow, and then here you've made it a duotone, putting that green in there, and lighting a subject from below is a very tricky thing,
Mhm.
and you capture that completely, and it almost looks like this is the most chill Frankenstein that I've ever seen. It's just it's like yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
bolts in my neck. I'm okay. But yeah, Sergeant
yeah,
Rock. I just like this as a graphic designer. I appreciate how you've integrated the typography into here. We have Rock, that's written in there, and you've had it like
yeah,
right up against the
yeah.
shadow of his face here. Um, I guess were you a big Sergeant Rock fan, or was this like a fiction piece, or is there a
Well,
story behind this?
yeah, there's a little story behind that. When I was growing up, my brother always was Sergeant Rock in the war comics. I was never really into the war comics. I always liked the
Hmm.
superheroes, especially. So he would bring these books home, and I'd be like, there's no superhero. So, Joe Kubert's work kind of eluded me. So
Yes.
as I got
Uh-huh.
appreciating the work, and then this is actually a piece that he did. I just did, so I tried to recreate it.
I see.
So that's a Joe
And
Kubert recreation. redo it.
Yeah,
Just do it
and I can kind of
like you done it.
see the influence in there. But again, you nailed it. And I guess if you ever wanted to do after crime noir, if you ever wanted to do war comics, I think you could definitely pull that off. Um, we're gonna keep on going through here. Just phenomenal artwork. I can't get over how. I mean, because I think when you become a great inker, it's the confidence not only in your stroke but knowing where to put the shadows and just fill it in. Just complete to have the
Yeah,
confidence to just
yeah,
like put the black down and
yeah.
just be able to know that that's going to accentuate it. And I think it's part of my fear. So when I look at stuff like this, it's like, wow, you definitely have the confidence in your stroke and being able to put the color, to X out areas completely in black. Let's keep on going here.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's here. We have more fan art. We have the Dark Knight. Yeah, very moody. You're able to cap. It's like when you do. I think when some artists do pinups, they're nice looking, but they don't really tell a story. I think, and then you actually have a slight body gestures, slight like facial expressions that kind of like you make you think a little bit more in terms of like, well, what exactly is he going to get ready to do? Is he like spying like like one of his rogues gallery villains there below him, getting ready to swoop down on him? But yeah, it's almost like in this particular piece, I like this because this is an example of like less is more. You don't have to go crazy with
Yeah,
hatching, and I think it's also because it is a female figure. I think um, the more lines that you add on a female figure that you're trying to do, sometimes it tends to like make the character look older. From a but here,
right.
just enough to add. What
Hmm.
strokes to add, and it's an example of less is more. And again, you capture like an expression. it's like I don't know. It's like what would she do? It's like she probably it's like obviously she has a gun and it's smoking here. So I don't know if she's looking back and saying, "Yeah, I shot him." I don't know exactly what the story is behind this. Is there a funny story behind this, or is this character somebody
This
that
is
you've
actually the
drawn before?
character that came out years and years ago in comic strips. The series was called, and I believe Jim Holdaway was the one that was the artist on that series, on that comic strip. I became a fan of that, and I said, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to try to do something with a modesty blend and just recreate something from that, and that's
Uh-huh.
what I did there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's beautiful because not only do you get this expression, the smirk that's on her face, but you also, from the composition standpoint, I like how you were able to do the twist. The torso twist, and it's very
yeah,
difficult to do, and it adds much more. The line of action. It actually adds for
yes,
a more expressive illustration. Very hard to do. I think there's a lot of artists there that can do the straight up like heroic
yeah,
pose, or whether it's
uh-huh,
or like a cheesecake type pose, but it doesn't lack. It doesn't
right,
have that same like life that just a subtle twist of the figure and then be able to adjust the shoulders and the hips, and then of course she's looking over her shoulder too. So it's a very complicated pose, and that's why I think this is like less is more. This is something
yeah.
that I think you really pulled off. Uh, this is the graphic design quality of your artwork that I mentioned earlier. I'm getting a little bit of a sense that maybe you're a Captain America fan. I'm not exactly sure, but
I am, I am. This was
very very
this was
cool artwork.
from the
Go ahead.
when I was a kid, I bought a Captain America annual. And I think it's
Uh-huh.
annual number. I remember sitting in my room behind my drawing board at about 11 years old, just looking at this cover for hours, and
Uh-huh.
after on it. But Ed Hannigan did the pencils on it, and
Oh
I
yeah.
remember just to try to recreate that cover. So that's
So
what I did there.
this is actually a blast from the past. This is something that you did in your younger years. So that's put in here, right?
Well, I did this a few years ago. It's just from a piece of art that kind of influenced me at a very early age, and I just found, and I was reading through the Captain America there a little bit, and I thought, I'd like to maybe see if I can, it was more of an exercise,
I
just
gotcha. I gotcha.
trying to, learn your inking tools and get different effects and things like that.
Mm. Yeah, and like I said, I love the graphic design quality of this with the star in the background. And again, that's that confidence in laying down those,
Oh, I know.
making the image even more striking when you have the blacks that help frame him inside the star. So very, very cool. Let's keep on going down through here. Yeah, and this is again other examples of like how to hatch correctly, because if you don't do it right, it just looks like a mess. If you do it correctly, it looks like this. It just looks really cool. Yeah, and here's
It's
some
a
really
challenge.
dynamic foreshortening here. We got the Punisher, and I think this is kind of a unique interpretation. I mean, he looks. You want to talk a little bit about this one because I definitely get some '80s vibes from this as well.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about this one. This is something I totally okay. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'd like to do something really cool with Punisher. He's got a really good graphic going on, skull. And then I'd like to have the gun kind of coming towards your face. Just make it look as awesome as I can make it. So I started sketching it out, and then I went to the ink and exercise in a way of making things up out of my head that look realistic or at least believable. And that's one of the things that's really important, make something look believable.
And I think that it looks believable, but the exaggerated proportions, that's the comic style. And again, it's we were being able to pull off, we talked about that torso twist to make the figure look more believable. Here it's that extreme perspective. And, for the Punisher too, it's like, you definitely don't want to see this in your rear view mirror. You definitely don't want to see this guy coming at you, especially with his fist coming at you with that gun. And you definitely capture that energy there of the Punisher. And this here is just like definitely gave me some feels here. Who doesn't know Stan the Man? You captured his likeness uncannily. I don't know if that's the correct word, but I'm going to use that word because uncanny X-Men. I'm going to just say that you did a really great job here. Yeah, so and you mentioned Neil Adams. I see what you're saying. It's like you're not doing like this super hyper realistic,
Right.
portrait. It's almost like like if it's a comic but comic realistic version of these these characters. So it definitely shows of these actual people and characters. So it actually shows your versatility. Being able to do some capture actual celebrity likenesses as well as doing that comic style. And here at Tarzan, just the dynamic pose, having him slightly hunched over, one of his arms obscured in a shadow, has such a nice narrative that's in there. And then you throw this monkey on his shoulder, which just like completely like adds just something more to it. I'm gonna say it's like you said it's after Kubert, but I actually get some Frazetta vibes from this too. Were you a Frank Frazetta fan?
I actually wasn't very familiar with Frank Frazetta's work, and because I didn't buy that. If the character was shirtless, the comics really didn't last very long, unless it be the exception. I think Tarzan, even there was several interpretations throughout these would pick it up and try it. So way back when Kubert did Tarzan, right? So but the Kubert work, just the way he perfect is just amazing. So I tried to just recreate that as an inking exercise.
Yeah, and I think that's important to say here is that, or at least that I've noticed just by talking and getting to know you, is that you're not afraid to like emulate or do another artist style for the sake of learning and becoming a better artist. And you're not like tracing. You're not like you're basically, and you're obviously paying homage to that particular artist, and it's made you a better inker. So do you I mean, you want to talk a little bit about maybe your philosophy in terms of like not not necessarily like copying. It's sort of like looking at the artist and then recreating it so you can learn from them. Is that something that you want to further
Sure.
expand upon?
Yeah, sure. So artists, not that I'm great, but I'm just saying all great artists, they uh they all look at people who's gone on before. So you know, if you look back at the old masters' work, for instance, you'll see that they were by anatomy. So they studied anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
They knew anatomy very well, and that was really strong. And I'll look into the illustrators of the early 1900s. You know, you had this guy named Coll. I think his name is. I got his book here somewhere, but
Mm-hmm.
his name was Cole.
I know who you're talking about.
And
Uh-huh.
yeah, he really had this penmanship, kind of scratchy look to everything, but it was awesome. It just all the tones and gradations in there, and a lot of people look back at that work. You know, contemporary stuff that's going on today. They probably are. I don't really know that, but the more you look at other people's work, then the more you take from different, that you can establish your own style and your own way.
Spoken, no truer words spoken. I think that a lot of artists, they get so wrapped up in like, I got to come up with a style. I got to come up with a style, and not
Yeah.
realizing that if you just draw what you like and take or sort of study, other great artists, the masters, like you said, um, if you're doing your studies, if you're doing your practicing, like you said you do, eventually your style will come out of that, and it's something like will happen unconsciously. You don't have to worry about like I got to come up with something. I got to be I got to be John Byrne. I got to be Neil Adams. No, it's just like study what you like, and next thing you know, you've kind of taken the things that you like and build that all together. And that's what I really
Right.
noticed with your artwork. So I'm gonna keep on going through here. Here's Arnold. I think that that splash of color here. This is the confidence that you have with putting it's really filling them in those negative spaces with black, but then you just have that splash of color, which just adds to it. And of course, I don't. It's like a Terminator homage, but it's like a later version of the Terminator. This is older Arnold, and because he has
Yeah.
the cigar and he's like kind of
That's right.
smiling. And I
That's
really
right.
enjoy this because this is you being able to capture a celebrity likeness and then put a little bit of your own spin on it with that little bit of splash of color here. Yeah, I definitely get this old school vibe when I see these things, and I think that might be, and that's a compliment. That's just you being able to like appreciate the masters, like you said, practicing your techniques and working that into your own style.
Mhm.
So it's I'm going through here. I think this is the wetsuit Wonder Woman.
It is.
I
Yep.
believe this is, yeah,
Yep.
just really,
Yeah.
really cool here. Yeah, yeah, just I definitely it's like you have a blend for like the modern and the classic. It's just really, really neat that you're able to do that. So that being said, we've talked about your fan arts, we saw your early work, and let's get to the meat and potatoes. This is where we're going to talk about where you are today. What
Yeah.
you're doing today, and I think this is going to be a nice introduction to when we're going to go into our live drawings. So this next set that I want to talk about, or I want to show and have you talk about, is Cold Kutter. This is the current,
Right.
this is the current Kickstarter that's live, and we're going to talk a little bit more about actually showing that page and what it's about all the reward
Sure.
tiers and how you can help support that a little later on the show. But here we're going to get that 1,000-foot overview. I'm going to put the mic back in your hands, and I just want you to give that general overview of who, what Cold Kutter is. And while I'm showing this artwork, if you want me to, oh, actually, as after you finish, we can go back and look at this as an introduction to our live drawing. So, mic is in your hands. Tell us a little bit about Cold Kutter.
Sure. So Cold Kutter is live on Kickstarter. Like you said, it's my creation, written and did all the artwork for the interiors. I've got some covers that were, done by Steen, inking over my pencils. I got a couple other guys, Kenny Calderon, that helped do a cover. It's a studio cover. But the creation of it was something that's kind of been in my head for many years. I like to try to do something with it because it's something that I really wanted to do. The story that has good action, good pace to the story. It's not going to slow you down. At the same time, there's a story to it, and there's some. It's a revenge tale. It's set. It's actually a story of Dylan Cutter. He's a private investigator. He was actually responsible for capturing and convicting Jabbo Jones, gang leader of the. So, and because of that, his partner now, his brother, Dalton. So Dalton was actually murdered, and he has a target on his back because they actually, convicted one of the gang leaders, Jabbo Jones, and when that happened, there's some kickback to that, a problem now. So as the story starts on page 1, he's in a very and then pick up from there.
Uh-huh.
And as the story picks up about it, he's basically in a dark place. He's mourning, and and then he finds a target on his back. And as the story opens, he's getting shot at, and we'll find out more as that story. So that's my overview.
Oh, great! Because I was gonna tell you, it's don't give away too much. We don't want to spoil the whole comic book. But to me, it's I can sense your passion. This is something that has probably been in the back of your head in terms of a story that you want to tell. For you being the I'm going to say the comic story appreciator. Now you're the comic creator. You're going to be able to tell your own story with Cold Kutter. And I think that will be a good segue into the first part of the live drawing. So today, we're going to do something just a little bit different than what we've done before. And I want to give anybody in our audience, if you would like to draw along with us, a heads up, because I'd like for you to do the same thing that Charles and I discussed yesterday. So we are going to be doing 2 drawings today, or 2 live drawings, and we're going to obviously get to see the magic happen with Charles, as to see his technique, his thought process, and learn a little bit more about the Kutter aesthetic, like maybe some of the design choices in terms of his look and feel. So while we're having that discussion, there's going to be 2 drawings, like I said. And when we do those 2 drawings, think of it as a combo. So if you're going to draw along with us, the first subject for the first 20 minutes is going to be obviously Kutter. So we want to learn a little bit more about him while we're drawing that. But I would like everybody to think big if you're going to or think in a combo framework, because the second live drawing that we're going to do is fan art. And we saw some of these great interpretations of The Thing, Batman, Captain America, Punisher, just really some influential characters in Charles's creative journey. So I don't know what that combo is going to be. So think of it as in the spirit of the classic Marvel team ups, where we had characters from the Marvel universe that would team up. We're going to do the same thing with Kutter. It's who would you pair up with Kutter? So when you're doing that first drawing, think big picture, think a team up, and just leave enough space for the next 20 to 25 minutes to put in another fan art. So who would you see Kutter teaming up with? And it could be everything from what you would think is a typical thing, maybe Frank from, I think his name is Frank, or from Sin City. Any of the Sin City characters, actually, because they have that crime noir look that would fit hand in glove with Kutter. Or it could be something that's like what I mentioned. You can pair him up with the Punisher, or it can be completely off the wall and pair him up with some alien from outer space. I have no idea, but it would be just really a treat to see what you come up with. So everybody, I'm gonna if you're gonna draw along with us, I'm gonna put up a camera. I'm gonna pick up a here's a nice portrait of Cutter. Let me see if I can find one that shows a full body. Um, he's so obscured in shadow. I don't think you really need to like figure out what's underneath the trench coat, type things. But you can see that some of his signature weapons here. We got this super revolver. I don't know. This is like a custom revolver I've never seen. This is like the dirt. It's like this would put Dirty Harry, to shame in terms of like how crazy this revolver is. But yeah, you're right. So let me see if I can find. Okay, here's. Cutter does have some really unique attributes, and we're gonna let Charles talk about it while we draw it. But if you're gonna draw along with us, I would like for you to do a screen capture of Cutter. I'm gonna give us a few seconds. You could do screen capture right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's go pick maybe this one because I really like this piece. It's some really dynamic foreshortening here. So that's why we used it on the banner. So it's in the eyes. The eyes are the window to the soul, and you can really see how Charles has really captured that. So he has this. It's a crime noir style. So again, you don't have to like get it to the point if you're going to draw along with us to like where it has the inks and things like that. But let's do this exercise, this challenge where we put Cutter with a fan art of yours, and it can be anybody of your choosing. So that being said, screen capture this. I'm going to isolate your art cam right now. So let's put this. I'm going to maximize it. All right. So Charles. So I'm going to start the clock. We'll start with 20 minutes right now, and let's start drawing here. And if anybody in our audience who wants to draw along with us, let me know in the comment field. And then if you do that, also post it to our sister page, which is the Art Show on Facebook. So let me know in the comments field, and then post your artwork to the Art Show. And again, this is a combo. So think about how you can put Cutter with one of your fan arts. So that being said, clock is ticking. Charles, tell us a little bit about the aesthetic. It's like, maybe this way, like why crime noir? Like, and then we can go deeper into like Cutter and the way that he looks.
Yeah. So crime noir. I've always been kind of a fan of that. Of TV shows, Mike Hammer, for instance, and Dick Tracy comic strip, things like that. And I'm also a fan of westerns. Kind of picked that up probably from the Clint Eastwood drawing I had. It's like that kind of visual, and something about the hat,
Yes.
We establish an attitude. Get the right attitude with the hat. It kind of sets a sort of is he happy, sad, or whatever. So if he's happy, he pulls the hat back of his head, and you can see his whole hairdo action. And he really is trying to check. He's going to pull that hat down his eyes a little more. So number one, you don't lose the hat, and number two, it's a dramatic look. So I try to work these characters out in a constructive to start with. Anything that I do, I try to establish locations, for my perspective would line up. And if I'm a little shaky, it's the first time I've drew live on some live stream. So
no problem. Like I said, it's like you don't need to feel pressure to like do a finished piece. We just want to be able to see the magic happen and talk a little bit about your process. I find it very interesting that you mentioned the hat. The hat as being as much of a storytelling device, talking about his mood, being able to, like we talked about, whether it's like set back or if it's set forward. I think that's just really cool that you're that using a part of his wardrobe to help tell the story. So was that something you conscientiously decided, like, hey, I'm going to do this, or was it something that maybe you observed, like maybe what after, like, like you mentioned you're a big fan of like Dick Tracy. I myself have not read too many Dick Tracy comics. Was his hat like a real big storytelling device in terms of like being able to like
Yeah,
advance the narrative?
yeah. So like any characters, like if they're very um, very distinct, such as Batman. You know, if you see him, and I automatically know who it is because of the pointy ears
Yes,
on his
his
head.
cowl,
So Dick
right?
Tracy,
Mm-hmm.
same nose. He's got the hat, the fedora, and yeah, so it's very recognizable and makes for just a real recognizable character. It in your eye kind of follows it, and yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking there. But I've never said that out loud though. It's just kind of been a thing that I'm thinking about is how I want to position him, a character or something, position their body and maybe their stance and pose.
Yeah, I think for you it's because it's become so ingrained in your psyche, and it's become second nature. So you never really had to actually state it. It's just because it's like inherent to you. It's like you don't even have to like mention it because it just comes out when you're drawing.
Yeah, that's that's what I know to do. It's just kind of like a natural. You're just working to establish the perspectives and what you're doing and what's the motion you're trying to create. So so right now I'm just kind of building my framework
Uh huh.
for this character as for his action, for what he's going to be doing. And sometimes I have to erase, believe it or not.
Well, I think that
Getting one.
um right, no shame in erasing. I think that's the reason why I don't do inks because it's like I don't I can always erase. I can always feel like if it's not the way that I want it to be, I can always go back and take out those wayward
Well,
lines.
when I started working with Joe, learning from him, Joe Ribs, you get you an ink eraser, and I'm like, what? He's like,
Ink
yeah, an
eraser.
electric ink eraser. What? And he goes, yeah. So that's what I'm using nowadays. I use a electric ink eraser, old school.
Uh huh.
The new ones. He said they're junk. Don't get that one. Get the tire with it or something.
Well, that's like news to me.
I've got it right here.
I've never heard that. Uh huh.
Yeah. So this is the ink eraser. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can. I'm checking it out right now.
But yes, it's got a button on there. You just push that button,
Uh,
and then this is your eraser, and you can remove line ink cartridge. Ink eraser cartridge.
that is
So
amazing.
I've
And
been
you said
using
this
that.
is like, yeah. I had no idea this magical instrument existed. Maybe I need to look about getting one of those things so I can use integrate that into like into inking myself. Here's another thing that was as we talked a little bit about techniques, and I know that we're both here doing traditional. Have you dabbled in digital? Have you ever thought about doing digital? Whether it's
I've
for
got a
illustrate, I mean, whether
pro.
for pencils or inks. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I've actually got a Cintiq, but the Cintiq is the kind you look down at your Cintiq while you're drawing, and it appears on your monitor screens. So it's just really,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, so I got the iPad Pro and the program in there, Procreate, and I got the little Apple Pen or cartoons, like the cartoony stuff I was telling you about. I
Mm-hmm.
created a lot of things that way because they're pretty simple. But it seems like the iPad Pro with that little pen, you don't have niceness to that. So I was like, I need to get back onto the paper. So I don't have to worry about electronics producing something I can already do on paper. I've got the drawing when I'm,
And
So
you don't have to worry about batteries running out, right? when you're using a pencil and paper. Yeah, and I think I like you. It's like I really want to. I think that it's another tool. I think that you can kind of learn, but I still feel like there's something familiar. I mean, we all learned, I guess, to draw traditionally before you went digital. At least people in our age group, because there wasn't anything like Cintiqs or digital illustrations. But I think that I feel you. I totally understand where you're coming from.
Wouldn't say anything bad to anybody who would like to do it that way. I think that's comfortable with doing it.
Yeah.
I particularly wanted to just get back up, and I just feel like I got better control of everything happening with my hands. You can probably tell my hands look like they've been sewed up about 10 times because they have.
Oh, really? I was gonna say it's like maybe you're like Dr. Stephen Strange. You had this accident, and then your hands got sewed up, and then next thing you know, you have superhuman drawing abilities. But then that would have meant that you would have had to had been in that kind of car accident, like when you were like 5 years old. And, but so it's not quite the same thing. But I have to say that I'm going to say that your hands, they tell a story. It shows the skill, and that after years of technique and hours, they say it's like 10,000 hours. That's when you become a master. So I'm gonna say your hands look like they put in those 10,000 hours.
Yeah. Well, thank you. They have.
All right, I'm like with all my guests, I had to resist the urge to look at my guests' artwork while we're drawing. So I'll definitely continue with that because I want to be surprised. The only time I glanced up is when you showed that magical device, that ink eraser. I think that was just crazy. But I think that's really cool. Let me actually. I'm gonna cover one eye. And I'm gonna go to the comment field and see if there's any new comments that have popped up in here. Let's see. Yeah, we have a few comments here, but I'm going to save them for when we finish the at least the first part of the live draw, so we can kind of like see some feedback in there. So aside from Kutter, I don't want to go into spoiler territory here, but can you like talk a little? You mentioned Jabo, and you mentioned he had a love interest, which isn't spoilery because I read the Kickstarter. They mentioned that in there as well. So, do you want to talk a little bit about the supporting cast that's in Cold Kutter?
Sure, yeah. So Cold Kutter has Dylan Kutter. He has a brother murdered, and we have a drug lord here named Jabo Jones, and he's causing lots of. And then we have a love interest, Triff Austin, to the story that he is beginship with in issue 1, and she's a big part of this story and a big part of the book. So I think that's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, so maybe it'll turn out that Jabbo is his like his separated at birth brother. and like and I'm gonna say I was just gonna like I was like reading into I was like reading the description of the book and how this is gonna go into like the mafia, and this is also told in modern times. It's a crime noir in modern times. It's not like it's a a Dick
Right.
Tracy era type thing.
Right.
But I was like,
Right.
in my head, I was like going, "Whoa! What if you set the groundwork for this great story," and I was like thinking to myself, "Whoa! Maybe Jabbo is this, or maybe his girlfriend was that," and I think that's what makes for this is the first issue, but just looking into what you or reading what your description, it just made me think of like all these possibilities, and I think that's the recipe for a great story. If it makes somebody just read the synopsis or the brief description that's told in your Kickstarter campaign, if it can make the imagination of the reader run wild, then I think you're successful. And so that being said,
Right.
it's like, did you approach writing this the same way? It's like, was there like a did you call back? You do reference or you do like drawing studies of some of your favorite artists as a writer, because that's another one of your talents. Did you go back to like old Dick Tracy stories? Did you like what was your research in terms of like, hey, when I do my own thing, what studies did you do from a writing point of view?
Yeah. So that's very interesting. I person. So when I when I went to New York a couple of years ago, I kind of looked at the and all the structures and all the monuments and stuff. So I was kind of building in my mind the story, and then I was kind of reading through some stuff about storytelling and it in a noir fashion, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's ways to out by using pictures in a certain arrangement, shadows, light, all this stuff, and I was like, well, so I studied that and just kind of studied through those and try to see what to go about storytelling for this book, and read somewhere one time where Stan Lee, when he books back in the Silver Age, he had a formula for the books. Put him with 7 pages of action, then do 7 pages of story, and then
Ooh.
and I thought, that's a pretty killer formula because
I did not know that. That's a pretty neat formula.
yeah, Nora is like old school kind of thing because Rip Kirby did a comic strip Nora series back in 1940. They were just killer. I mean, the artwork was just killer, amazing artwork. And if you've never seen it, you need to go check it out. But
Oh, what was his name again? Can you repeat
yeah,
that?
and he did a strip called Rip Kirby, and my mentor Joseph Rubenstein about that stuff out, and I said, yeah, absolutely. So I did. So looking at how books and strips were done influenced the way I wrote this book. And of influence of Western in there also, as far as in the
Mm-hmm.
imagery. When I didn't want him to just be a detective running around and shooting a piece.
Yeah.
So that's where the big heavy duty revolver came in. I said, he's kind of like a superhero in a sense. He's got superpowers. He's got a big revolver. So that was some of the things as far as writing and stuff. And I did for that, just to see, how would I go about writing this, and like even this little blister to his leg, it's not a modern day kind of strap. Yeah.
Well, I think that you have to have when you have that kind of like firepower that you're carrying around, you got to make sure you have a leg strap to keep that
Well,
that
well,
holstered.
that's
I think that's kind of neat about the noir that you're doing with this is that the Western influence that
yeah.
you're weaving
You
into it.
know, that's is just trying to put a little different, unique spins on stuff has been done in this genre before, but how can we make it interesting? It's different. So I definitely wanted to make it different. So I said, well, to make it interesting, and different.
So can you go into any without doing any spoilers? Is there anything that you can kind of reveal about Jabbo? Like, how about his name? Like Jabbo. That just sounds. I had
So Jabbo,
yeah, Jabbo. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the genesis with that? Like where that came from?
yeah. So Jabbo is kind of a nickname that's pretty common here in the South. I always thought it was kind of interesting when I'd hear that name, and I thought, you know, for a name, and I think that would definitely give us something here every day that gives it some mystery. Because you so I think that's working pretty good for that.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
unique.
so
I think
create something
for
unique.
and just to give you a heads up, we got 5 more minutes um, to to
Okay,
finish this first part of the combo that we're doing.
kind of slow here,
That's no problem.
but
Just again, it's more important about the process, seeing the process.
gotcha, gotcha. So, and I don't pencil really super tight. Anyway,
Because you do
I
the
do a lot with my yeah yeah
with your
I do a lot
inks,
with the
right?
inking
Mhm.
because you got to ink it anyway. So why draw it tight? I
Yeah, or
usually work out
right.
all the problems in pencil.
Mm-hmm. It's
You
like you
know,
don't want to like
tab-
draw it twice, right? You don't want to draw it twice.
yeah, right. So I try to establish in the early going, and then from there I move. My inks pretty quickly usually. How I work because I have to ink everything too. If I was a penciler, I might go a little tighter with stuff. Unless they said, "Hey, just do some rough stuff for me,"
Yeah, exactly.
and I
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that too, is because you're uh the writer as well as the you do all the layouts, you do the character design, you're doing the pages. Would you have approached this any differently if let's say if you had done this the writing? What kind of direction would you give to a penciler? Obviously, you had like Kenny Calderon, a great guy, great phenomenal artist. Like, did you give him any like art direction in terms of like how you felt Cutter should look, or did you sort of just give him a script and sort of say, "Hey, interpret this"? Like, what kind of direction would you give to somebody that was trying to draw Cutter?
yeah. So I think I sent him some pictures, some photographs of what I had done, kind of what I was looking for. So subject wise for
Mm-hmm.
for a cover. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
basic cover to be, and I just gave him complete. He would accomplish
Creative
that.
brain. So yeah.
Yeah,
So you're one of those
yeah. So
creators that wants not be a George Lucas and control like every aspect of the character, but just sort of give creative freedom to the artist to like interpret your character, right?
exactly, exactly. I'm just trying to give him as much creative license. End up with the book that makes sense for the story. I mean, end up with a cover that makes sense for the story. Work anybody that's creative, they work better if you give them a lot of leeway. So I'm just trying to just kind of establish my darks in this piece, and go over here on this cutter here. Let's see if I can draw this hand the first time.
Okay. Just so you know, we're pushing one more minute. Yeah, I feel like we're on one of those shows. Like, I don't know if you watched. I think it's on the History Channel. That it's called Forged in Fire, and that they get blacksmiths to come on there, and they have to come up with knives or battle axes, or they have to forge them. And there's a clock that's ticking in the background. I feel it's like, here we are. We're on Forged in Fire, forging a drawing here of Kutter. And I guess maybe that's the reason why I think of Forged in Fire, because his name is Kutter. Right. In this last minute, let's talk a little bit about that. Why the name Kutter? Was that from some? Where did you come up with the name for that?
That's really interesting. I don't really remember when I come up with that name. I mean, honestly, I just sounded macho. If it's not a good word nowadays, I guess not. But
hey, you're the creator. You can say that. Macho is good.
Yeah. Okay. So that would kind of be cool. That a memorable name. Something just come to me. Cold Kutter, because cold case is, there's a lot of TV shows on investigating all these cold case things, and I'm like, that I think that would be pretty cool. And then I'll put in the O in cold. Just to give it a little flavor.
All right, we're approaching the last minute.
Okay.
So, and the good thing about doing this combo style is that you can spend a little bit more time in the second drawing refining anything that you want to do with Kutter that you didn't get a chance to do. So I think that's going to be a neat aspect of this challenge, is that you can still refine the other character as we're drawing the second one. And in fact, I'm probably going to have to do that because I was listening and I was talking to you. Sometimes I have a hard time multitasking. It's like I want to listen to you, I want to keep on talking to you, and then I have to draw at the same time. All right, so
it's hard.
Okay, so so we're at the end of the of the last 30 seconds here. So I'm gonna look up. Oh my gosh, I can see what you're doing here. So very, very cool. And he has that monster revolver there. Yeah, and you said that you're not used to drawing live. I think you did a fantastic job here. So let me go through the comment field. You keep on drawing, and I'm gonna go through the comment field and see what other people have talked in here. So let's see. So we have Saman Kucher, who says, here we go. This is a great drawing too. He gives a thumbs up. Definitely loving what you're drawing there.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay. We have someone says Charles' voice is a little choppy, but I can still understand. Yeah. Just want to give a little bit of a heads up. We were trying to fix the audio issue. Charles's mic seems to drop in and out. So there's a little bit of a delay and sometimes a little staticky or droppy. But I can understand what he's saying. It's just a little bit of a technical difficulty that we're hopefully will just resolve itself over the time of the show. And then he followed up here with, this is Saeed. I want to tell you, you're getting some international fanfare here. Saeed hails from the, I want to say it's somewhere in the Middle East, but yeah, or Dubai. I'm not sure. But anyway, he's staying up late to watch your show there, Charles. So.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Saeed.
Thank you. Yeah, and then Samana says, I've seen videos of that show with a blacksmith. So apparently they know about that Forged in Fire.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of funny.
That's awesome.
All right. So
really
I'm actually going to, I'm looking in the comment fields. It doesn't look like if anybody drew along with us, let me know in the comments field that you did. But since this is a combo style drawing, um, one, let me know that you're doing it. You don't need to post it just yet because we want to do the second character, the fan art character that we're going to add with Cutter. So I'm going to hold my drawing up because it looks unfinished. And we're gonna spend the next 20-25 minutes adding that second character in. So that being said, I'm not going to disturb your groove that you're going on here, Charles. So you go ahead and keep
Okay.
on drawing the. If you want to go ahead and finish Cutter, you definitely can. But of course, start drawing your second character, your fan art character. And just to give people a heads up, this is the combo drawing challenge that we're doing for this particular live draw. We are doing 2 drawings. The first one we just completed, which is drawing Cutter, and the second one is integrating that super team up. It could be anybody that you want to put in there with Cutter. And like I mentioned, it could be like a Superman. It could be Batman. It could be an alien from outer space. The creativity part of this is completely up to you. So add that in there. So I'm going to start the clock, Charles. Another 25 minutes, and let's add that second character in.
All right.
All right. So now that we're talking about the second character, I'm tempted to ask you, but maybe I should just wait for it to be revealed. Do you want to talk? Do you want to reveal it before you start drawing it, or do you want want it just to materialize as we're drawing? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I can tell you what it's going to be.
Okay.
I got to think about it. What would I kind of a dark noir character here? And I thought, well, what else is dark? It's called. I kept thinking about Captain America because I love Captain America. I talked to you about it yesterday, and I just couldn't make it work. I'm sorry, girl. I just couldn't make it work for some reason.
Well, you could do U.S. Agent. U.S. Agent's kind of like a dark Captain America. Have you thought about doing that, maybe?
I could, but I settled down on one, and
okay,
I'm gonna put Batman in here.
Oh, very cool.
Yes, so Frank Miller's Dark Meat. And I remember seeing that for the first time back in 1980. This guy drags this book out, and it's like, what is this, man? It's like, it's something. I'm like, Frank Miller. And I'm like, oh, man, this is just totally awesome. And I just couldn't. I don't think I've seen anything this cool ever. I actually read where I won't mention any names, but he was told to go back to Vermont and pump gas.
I haven't heard that one.
I was like, a lot of people don't have, like, I guess, a lot of, it's not their favorite Miller, but I tell you, his layouts and his style of storytelling, it's very unique. It changed Batman,
Right.
Changed what we know as Batman.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that, and back in the 80s, and of course, I think it was that, and I think the Watchmen. Those were more like I would say, quote unquote, adult or mature themed books. So when we were in the 80s, it's like, oh man, we're reading stuff that we're not supposed to, type stuff, and
yeah,
and yeah. But the thing is, though, it's funny when you go back and you look at it, because it kind of laid the groundwork for a lot of that modern storytelling that we see now and that we love. That's in a lot of comic books. And I guess back then, you remember the old Comics Authority badge that had to be on comics, and it was indie comics, or if you remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they came out, that they were like the first comic books that didn't have to have that Comics Code Authority on it, and it allowed for a totally different style of storytelling. And and it wasn't like it was like they were just more gritty stories, and it wasn't like they were like bad or taboo or anything like that. But it just opened the door for larger storytelling.
Right. Yes. So a lot of people aren't fans of that necessarily. They prefer the old music and everything, but I believe it's caught on pretty well. You know, a lot of people are fans, and you know, The Dark Knight is what I'm talking about, referring to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember this time, and I was already familiar with Frank Miller's Daredevil. You know,
Yes,
I read
another.
Daredevil, and I remember getting this book one time, and it was talking about all these different art or something magazine or something back in the day, and they were talking about, you know, Frank there. And I was like, holy, this is awesome, you know. So I got to check these books out. So I started, and then pretty soon after that came out and all that, and saw a story in one of those interview John Burns Captain America, Joe Rubenstein doing the inks on it, and I was like, wow, this is going to be. I started noticing the creators more, and I tell you, I've always been more fond of the work. There's just something about that seamlessness that you get. I think, you know.
Yeah, I have to say that when you're talking about the Dark Knight and is just seeing a really brutal Batman, and he was older, and
Yeah,
him fighting, you know,
he was.
Superman too. Yeah, I mean, it was
Yeah,
just not what it was like another
yeah,
level. I just never would have of
yeah,
anticipated that kind of thing.
yeah. I remember telling my dad about that, and he's like, "Oh no, Batman can't beat Superman." I said, "He did in this book."
I know. Well, I mean, remember that the obviously like contemporary. We watched. Remember the Batman versus Superman movie, but and he had like this armor that he had to build, and of course, you know, the kryptonite spear and things like that. You're right. I mean, Batman toe to toe cannot beat Superman. There's just no way. There had to be something to level the you know the playing field. But I remember reading the comic book,
Yeah,
and it's like Batman like plugged his armor into like the power grid of the city, so that he could yet leverage the
yeah,
power of the city to fight Superman. I thought that was kind of a neat take on it, you know, to like
yeah,
make sure that he
yeah.
could actually like
He
hold his
was.
own against him.
I was looking at that book, and I was like, man, Batman's wearing a hobnailed boot. There's nothing cooler than a
Yes.
hobnailed boot, right?
Oh, is that the name of it? It's called Hop. I didn't even know there was a name for that, but yeah, but
Well,
that just
I
goes to
just
show. I
made
mean,
that
it had
up.
like
I just made that up.
yeah. Oh yeah, because he had like these
Yeah,
spikes on it, and you when he was kicking
yeah,
Superman in the face with it, I was like, wow. It's like yeah, but yeah, it was
yeah,
definitely uh made an impact on me in terms of like his style.
yeah. That was a cool book, man.
Mhm. So
I was
did you
really
watch
enjoyed it.
did you watch the latest Batman flick that came out this year with the guy from I can't his name escapes me, but he was in those vampire movies where they got sparkly. Forgot what his name is. But anyway, did you watch
Oh
the latest Batman movie?
no, I didn't get to go see Batman yet. I'm a
Oh,
little
you
bit
did it.
busy these
Uh
days,
huh.
and I didn't
Yeah.
get to. No.
Mm. Well, you should definitely check it out. It's definitely a different spin on Batman. And you know, it got mixed reviews. There was people that totally loved it, and then there was people that totally hated it too. It's like it I guess polarized the fan base. But to me, I'm just glad. It's like
Yeah.
if you know you and I are similar in age, it, it's like the golden age of nerds right now. Um, could you imagine in the
It
'80s
is.
having the amount of comic book movies and series? Like you got them on television, you got it on, in the movies, you got all these crazy toys. I mean, it's definitely not what it used to be. I'm so happy that we're actually getting our, its due. So, do you feel the same?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Back when we were growing up, we were of cool stuff on like movies, especially comic wise. You had the show, you had the Spider-Man TV show where you could really tell he was being pulled up the wall by cables. I don't
It's true.
know if you remember that. But then there was a Captain America TV show or movie in America where he rode on a motorcycle, and it was a little hokey looking, things like that. So I think the best thing they had back in the 70s and early 80s was the Incredible Hulk with the Lou Ferrigno, playing
Yes.
the Hulk. That was pretty cool.
And it always had that really sad theme song at the end when he was walking away. It's like you really felt bad for Bruce Banner. But they also had Wonder Woman. They had a really good Wonder Woman TV show. I remember that.
That was good. It really was. And then we had the Bionic Man, $6 Million Man.
Yes.
And I remember the show and Mom and Dad pulling out their high school annual and saying, "We went to school with the $6 Million Man." No way. He goes and gets his annual. Yes way. They sure did. Mm-hmm. Lee Majors. Yeah, he's from my hometown.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like Lee Majors. I remember watching The Fall Guy, and he did. Was it The Fall Guy? That was his his other big show in the 80s.
It was, yeah. With all that stuff and checking all that stuff out, we'd get to stay up late that night that the $6 Million Man came on, because of that. See the show, but had to be in bed for school nights and stuff.
Yeah, just talking to you about this, it just opened the floodgates of all these shows that from the 80s that I totally adored. Do you remember that alien invasion show called for Visitors? Do you remember that one?
I do.
Yeah. That was bad. I remember that
was good,
wanting. Yeah, that was one of my favorite shows. And of course, MacGyver. Do you remember MacGyver?
Yeah.
The guy that could
MacGyver was good.
He could stop a nuclear meltdown with bubblegum wrapper and a paperclip. It's like he would just do some incredible things. That guy was he was making science cool back in the 80s before Bill Nye. So I definitely I remember him. What were some of your other favorite 80s TV shows?
Probably in the 80s, I would think Great was one. I don't know if you remember that show or not.
What was the name of it?
Sort of a goofy take on American Hero.
Oh, the Greatest American Hero?
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yes. So he was flying hours. He would be flying, and all of a sudden he'd just crash land into a building. Or, it was just a really fun. I really enjoyed watching that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
And I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Greatest American Hero had one of the best theme songs. I remember it sounded kind of campy, but I loved it. I thought it was it stuck in my head. It was like a commercial that could play in my head. I remember hearing it, and it was kind of a happy theme song. And you're right. He was always crashing. He wasn't a perfect Superman type hero, but there was something really endearing about him.
Yeah, and notice you said I never was really a Superman fan. I am a fan, but he's not my favorite. Mm-hmm. I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
always rooted for the underdog. So he's book. I was like, wow, you know.
You were more of a Batman, Captain America guy, right?
Use your own hands and whatever you can come up with.
Mm. So, like, you're doing a crime noir. What other genres, like, if you were to do another comic outside of Cold Cutter, what other genres would you like to explore, to write and draw?
Genres. I'd like to do like a sci-fi type of. I tell you, I'm a real big fan of Jim. Man, Jim Starlin had some really great work out there with Dread, the Dread Star series. It was just awesome.
Yep.
And you know, I would love to do something totally unique. You know, not anything like that, but something similar to that in that area. I've got some other ideas as well that are more, they're not superhero related, and it's not. I don't know how to. It's I don't know how you would find.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jim Starlin. A lot of people don't know that he was the guy behind Guardians of the Galaxy, correct? Am I wrong? Is that
sure
he came up with a lot of those characters? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did. I got to get Heroes Con this year down in Charlotte, there over in Charlotte, and books signed and stuff. Talked to him for a few minutes, and then when I went back to my hotel, he was holding the door open for me, and they was like, "Hey."
He was holding the door open for you?
He was holding the door open. He was like, "Hey, buddy, the door's open back here. There's elevator doors behind me."
Oh, like, okay.
Oh, thank you, Jim. So I'm riding up the elevator talking to Jim Star.
That's got to, yeah. That's funny. Like, it's like, they talk about elevator pitches. So did you ever think about, like, talking to Jim Starlin, like, well, I got this book called Cold Kutter. Want to hear about it? Did you ever think about, like, pitching your book to somebody on an actual elevator?
I didn't want to go there. I was like,
don't want to go there.
That way, probably going to take the person on the elevator and just said, "Hey, how you doing, Jim?" He was looking at me, be like, "How's this guy know who I am? Remember me?" Yeah. So I don't know. Did my drawing board camera go dead?
Oh, looks like it did. Did it? I've been drawing, so I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, it looks like it did die. Can you check it out real quick?
Yeah. Reconnect or something?
Yeah, go. Did it run out of juice, or hopefully it didn't run out of juice?
Juice. Ran out of juice.
Oh, it did.
iPad.
Okay, how about this?
It's 80 seconds.
Okay, how about this? Go ahead and take your your phone, plug it in, and start charging it up. And we got about 8 more minutes left to draw. So hopefully in 8 minutes you can maybe get a little bit of power. So you can plug it in. Worst case, you can just take your drawing and put it in front of your face cam after you're done. That way people can see it. But let's see if we can get some more juice on there, and hopefully we can get that on there so people can check it out.
I've got to actually find another pencil because I broke them.
Oh, there is so much power in those hands drawing. Those creativity is just like breaking pencils now, right?
Snapping them like weeds, man.
Yeah. I tell you, I'm having fun adding my second character into this drawing. It's so rough, but I'm gonna be really happy to show this to you, and hopefully we get some other people that are drawing along with us.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? I hope we do.
And at least hopefully it'll show up on screen. So I kind of still like in its light rough layouts. We still got it. Like I said, I got just over 6 minutes, so we have some time. So just plug it in, and then you go back to your drawing. I'm going to leave the Cold Kutter drawing up here, so people can see what a cutter looks like. And let me actually like find another picture here. Here's him. It's funny, like this current picture that I saw here, which has the car in the background. John Wick
Yes.
was on TV just like, I want to say yesterday. It was on
Yeah.
one of my Fox FX. I don't know. It's one of those cable channels that I have on my system, and it was just when I saw this again. Oh, it made me think of John Wick when I saw this. So another great flick. Have you been watching all the John Wick movies? Do you enjoy them?
Haven't watched them.
Haven't? Oh my gosh, you definitely got to check them out.
And I'm like, I got to check this out. So we've been kind of watching all these other. It's been on TV forever. So we're going through all the episodes of all that. And when I say my wife enjoys those type of shows. So I try not to much because I'm
you got to be
watching all those live, those shows and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that actually, it's good not to be completely drawn in to like watch everything, because then if you if you're not careful, next thing you know, like the whole day has gone by. You've like started binge watching something, and you don't get anything produced. And I think that you as a creator, I don't think it would be a good idea to like start watching all these things, because it would just take away from your creativity time.
Yeah, true. I try to strike a balance with it. Family and my lovely wife, and her name is Triff, by the way.
Ooh, okay. So, if anybody caught when we were describing some of the supporting cast for Cold Kutter, the love interest is named Triv too. So this is where I guess art is imitating life. You decided to like name the love interest after the love of your life. So
right,
and that's one of the good things about being a creator. You can name all of your characters whoever you want them to be.
Right. Yes. The art cam.
Pardon me. Oh, is it still charging your art cam?
Battery power on the art camera.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, once the time expires, I'll let you determine if there's going to be enough juice, and if you want to try and add it back to the stream.
Okay. And that one's sometimes can be difficult. I'd like to get it back up there.
All right, so we're approaching the last 3 minutes. So if anybody's drawing along with us, again, let us know in the comment field, and of course, post it to our sister page, which is the Art Show. And you can see to the left of me, we have another picture here of Cutter and the John Wick car. I'm going to say that, but it reminded, because John Wick has its share of like really cool muscle cars. Let me actually like find another picture here. I like this one too. Patriotic, obviously, it has the Statue of Liberty, but it has it only goes to show how massive the massive firepower that Cutter has there.
Yeah,
very cool. And this actually
Joe
has
Rubenstein.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You were telling me about that. Joe Rubenstein inked this.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Very cool. And I think the more that I look at this, I see the Western influence that you were talking about.
Yeah, I wanted to add that in there. Just have a little bit of Western influence in that. I just love the Westerns. Drawing a weapon out like that. It's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna try and darken up my lines just to hopefully it'll show up better on camera when we show it. But overall,
Okay.
I'm gonna I'm actually doing a which is really cool, or at least coincidental, because I'm actually doing. I'm not. I think you've heard of the challenge that's going around right now in October. Every October they do this thing called Inktober, and
Yeah. Right.
I never get a chance to do it because when I don't ink, I very rarely ink, and so this year I decided to do this thing called thanks to one of my former guests on the show, Lee Giles. He mentioned he was doing this thing called Indie Tober, and I was like, going, "Oh, that's so perfect
Yes.
because I get to
Yeah.
do. It's awesome because he's just doing only characters, and they don't have to be inked. They can be just sketched, and that's perfect for me. Um, Basically, it's only
Yeah.
promoting indie creators. So I figured I'm going to
I like
just. I've had so many relations with or like talking meeting so many independent creators. I thought this was a great opportunity for me to uh, pay tribute, and I mean not really pay tribute, to show tribute, to honor that kind of friendship that I have with a lot of these indie creators, and interpret their IPs, their characters throughout Indietober. And so I figured I'm used to doing like little five
right.
by seven drawings of indie characters. Um, so for today, I decided to do a little bit bigger so I could incorporate the live drawing that we're doing today
Oh,
into my Indietober.
yeah.
So Indietober for October 9th is going to be Charles. So I'm doing Cutter. But of course there
Thank
is
you very much.
a fan there is a fan art that's incorporated into this. So it's a little bit different, but I made sure to make him much smaller in the background compared to
Oh,
Cutter.
okay.
So that Cutter
Okay.
gets the lion's share of the attention. Um, all right, so
All
the
right.
clock did expire. Do you need a little
Okay.
bit more time, or are you ready to show what you got?
One more half a minute. Is that all right?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. How about this? I'm going to put 5 more minutes. Put 5 more minutes on the clock. Let me go here to my timer. Start. So with 5 more minutes, I'm just going to go in here and kind of darken a few lines here so it shows up a little bit more. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, let's
All right.
let's add 5 more minutes. Again, if anybody in our audience, if you're drawing along with us, let me know in the comments field, and then definitely share it to our sister page, which is the Art Show on Facebook.
So I'm almost done. I just need another minute.
Okay. Well, you got 5, so take your time.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. You know me. I think we joked around about this yesterday. The 5 minutes probably is more for Gerald than it is for Charles because Charles probably got his stuff all laid out and all ready to go.
I don't know. It's one thing to for another to kind of try to just throw something together here as a
Mm-hmm.
usually think in terms of that too much, except when I'm doing a cover, you know,
Right.
cover or something like that kind of thing, or drawing.
Well, like I said, it's a pity that your drawing cam died, so we can't actually see the process, but we can actually see the progress. We can see the progress in terms of where it got to at the end of the show.
Yeah, so it'll be kind of a thing where you see what it looks like after I'm done.
Yeah.
So that might
Well,
be
I think the good thing is like if you want to like take it to that the final step, uh, and finish and ink it because your inks are beautiful. You can share it to you can send it to me and I'll be more than happy to post it on our Facebook page,
awesome.
and people can see the finished product. So yeah, definitely do that.
Okay.
All right. So are you finished? Or do you feel like you're finished?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
about done here.
Okay. You
So
let me know and I will stop myself, and
okay.
we can look at each
All right.
other's artwork.
I'm just going to throw in a few little highlights in it so you can kind of
Okay.
tell what's going on in part of
Okay.
when I was working, so it lightened it some. And I lost a little time and I broke. Okay, so I'm done. I think I'm to a point now where I can say, hey, this is a rough drawing.
Okay, good. All right, let's go ahead and try and get your
Decent.
art cam. See if you have enough juice in your art cam, and let me know, or actually, I'll add it back to the stream. And
Okay.
and if it doesn't work, if there still isn't enough juice, then we're just gonna share your you can put the artwork in front of your face cam, and we can just look at it that way.
It tries to open it directly. Okay. I think it's going to put me right back in there. Allow.
Okay. As soon as it pops up, I'll put you back in the stream.
It says I'm back that screen again. Now it's telling me my browser is not supported.
Oh no!
Switch to modern browser.
It didn't remember your last settings.
I guess it didn't. If there's something I can do with it, I'll open it in Safari. I think it'll jump right in there.
Okay. Well, if it still gives you problems, we're just going to go to your face cam, and we'll just have you hold the artwork in front of your face cam, and I will maximize the screen so people can see it. So let me know. Do you want to do it that way? Oh, you got it. It's into the stream. Okay. Obviously mute me or mute my voice on your drawing cam, and then when you're ready to mount it back onto your drawing cam, that'd be cool. I mean your rig.
Okay.
Okay, so let me put it back on there. Add that back to the stream. All right, you got a close up of your chest. There you go. Okay, so it is upside down, but I'm just gonna. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just flip the. Oh well, I was gonna say just flip your illustration, and on your drawing board there. Look at that. Oh, this is so great. I see you put in and I understand completely what you were talking about is like why I know you put in a lot of some shading and some detail here, but I can't wait to see when you ink it, because normally I think if you were inking this, you wouldn't put this much. I mean, if you were gonna ink it and you weren't on this live show, you would just like put X's in terms of like where the shadows would be and where you block out the negative space. But that looks great.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it almost your LED reflections, your LED light reflections, they actually add to it. they make it look like that's part of the illustration. So just very, very, very cool. Can you I know you just mounted it, so just take the illustration and maybe bring it closer to the camera, because I'd like to see if we can look at the detail. So don't worry about, there you go. And then move,
figure out where the camera's at.
Yeah, there you go. There, very, very cool. So here we have the Dark Knight Batman teaming up with Cutter. Just very, very cool. Love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, let me check the art station. So if you want to, our art show page, and let's see if anybody drew along with this, because it didn't seem like anybody mentioned or talked about it in the comment field. So hold on one moment. If you just bear with me, I'm going to check real quick. And art show, and
I'm going to try to mount the phone so I don't have to hold it.
Apparently it looks like I did mention to this before. There's a possibility that we wouldn't get as anybody drawing with us because it is a holiday weekend here on in the U.S. But we got lots of people that chimed in the comments field. So I would say that
cool.
anybody that watches this show on demand, feel free to do your drawing of Cutter and a fan art, add them together, put them into the art show, and then tag me or tag Charles, because you're going to be you. I think actually I flashed it, but I'll flash it one more time. Let me go to the top. If you look here, this is how you can follow Charles on Instagram and on Twitter. So tag him, tag me, tag ComicsCast, and if you draw, I'm sure that Charles would love to see your interpretation of his IP character,
Yeah.
and we'll be more than happy to share it and showcase it. So that being said, let me show you what I did, and you can give me the third degree. You
Yeah.
can like be very critical
Oh,
of what I did, and let me know if I did your character justice. Let me turn on. Oops.
I'm interested to see
if I can get
what you did.
if I can get a better lighting on it. Hold on one second. Bear with me, and turn on the light, and let's see if I can. All right, so the light is a little bit blown out because it's very lightly drawn. I'm going to go back in and add tighter
Okay.
pencils to it. But let me go ahead and show you what I got, and we can keep on going. All right, so here's my interpretation of Cold Kutter, and my fan art that I decided to add is, I think it might be a little bit too cliche, Charles, but I felt they fit together. I decided to do Spider-Man Noir. So if I don't know if you remember him from Into the Spider-Verse. Did you ever watch that? Where Nicolas
Yeah,
Cage?
I think I remember. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I can't see
Nicholas,
it though. I'm only seeing
here it is.
I can. Okay, there we go.
All right, can you?
That's really awesome.
It's a little bit blown out. Let me turn off this light and see. So here you go. So I made sure that I put his holster there. I mean the leg holster.
Right.
Haven't finished drawing that super weapon that he carries, but I put Spider-Man Noir there on in the background. But yeah, it was fun. I have to say that it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna actually go back and revisit this later on tonight. And this is my fan art for you, Charles. So very cool.
Oh man, that's awesome. Right. That's very, very, very good. Very good artist. That's really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. But this show though is about you. So now that we finished the live draw, I'm gonna put that away right now. And let me I'm so happy that we were able to get a little bit of a charge back onto your art cam, because now we can put that away for a bit. So here we go. Yeah. So because it was a pleasure to see. Oh, actually, I always have to go back later on and watch the live draw, because I'm drawing along, so I can't really see the magic happen. But I always go back and on demand and check that out. And before your art cam died, I'm going to go back there and see Cutter being drawn there. Okay. So now that we've done the live drawing, let me go back, and I want to share another. I'm going to reshare the screen. So hold on one second. And I'm going to go back to some of the art that you shared with me. So bear with me as I get that back up. And share this back on the screen. All right, so this is the other part of the art that you shared with me. And this is official art that goes to Cutter, and a lot of these things can be seen actually on the Facebook page. I mean, on the Kickstarter page. But we're gonna highlight them right now, and we will provide you we're gonna actually show the Kickstarter campaign page a little bit later. But I just want to give all this art its due, because it's pretty spectacular. And this is our covers. I believe this was colored by Robert Powers. Is that correct?
Robert Powers? Yeah.
Yes. And then
I think the logo and also the colors.
Yeah, and so you have a great amount of talent that's backing you. Here's another cover.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe this was illustrated by you, but it was colored by
Right.
who's the colorist?
George, Giorgio, and he's very
Ah,
good, very
yeah.
very talented, very
And then we
talented.
have this one,
Yeah,
who was inked by Joseph Rubinstein, right? I don't know
that's
how.
right.
It's like a
That's right.
uh, and actually, I didn't get to hear like how did you get? How are you able to snag a talent like that to help ink your artwork? Are you guys like childhood
Well,
friends?
no, no, I kind of wish we had been, but he was older than I, not much, but just a little
Uh-huh.
bit. But had we grown up together, he probably wouldn't have talked to me. I kind of got in touch with him online. You know, I got in touch with him online, and he was
Uh-huh.
online lessons and things like that. And I wanted to be a better inker, so I said, "Look, I'd like to work
Uh-huh.
with you. You get some techniques and stuff like that." And he said, "Well, if you ever have anything, a project, don't forget about me." And I said, so I called him up and I said, "Look, I got a project for you. Will you do it?" "I'll do it."
That is amazing. It's like you guys are like it's like you could have him over for dinner. It's like you guys are that have a beer with him. He just seems like that kind of close friendship that you have with him. But it's just amazing that you could snag a talent to ink over your pencils. That's pretty amazing. And I believe this is by Kenny Calderon. Is that correct?
Yep. Kenny Calderon, he drew that cover for me, and he did a black and white. I said, I think I want a color version also. So he did a color
There it is.
for me too.
Just as you
There
said,
it
it's like
is.
I just got to I got to know Kenny this year. He's another phenomenal talent, and I'm glad that when he's actually been a guest on my show on this show before, and it's just
Yeah.
thrilling to me to see two indie creators um, working, collaborating on a book together that I have gotten to know. So pretty cool that you got Kenny to help contribute to your book, and the colors. Was this also done by the same colorist that you mentioned earlier?
Kenny, Kenny Calderon did
Oh,
the
Kenny
colors on
colored.
this
Oh, oh, he did
cover.
the
So it's
colors.
all by
That's
Kenny.
right, because yeah,
Yep.
I do remember. He's a penciler, inker, and a colorist. Very, very cool. Then we have some
That's
more
right.
black and white artwork here. Um, it's like I can't. It's like the Statue of Liberty is a recurring theme, just like Captain America. Very patriotic. Um, and then
Yeah.
I wanted to go. I looked at this, and we showed this earlier, but then you added like extra. I'm going to say, yeah, it's extra. You added extra. This was like lettering and like these questions. It's like, will Triff be rescued? How will Dylan get to her in time? Find out next issue. And Cold Cutter #2 coming soon. I just look at
Right.
this, and it reminded me of like a movie poster. It fits into this thing.
Uh-huh.
Just really really nice. You just need to add the movie production credits, and it would have been just really cool. Yeah, and that's one thing I want to ask you is like, since we're thinking about movie posters, who would you cast to be Cold Cutter if you could pick an actor today? Who
Yeah.
who do you think would be a good fit? Do you have an idea?
I kind of like that Liam Neeson guy. I think he would be a
Liam Neeson. I've
good
heard of
Cold
that.
Cutter.
I've heard of that guy. He's done some good movies. But yeah, I could see
Yeah.
Liam Neeson do
Yeah.
it. Very very cool. Good fan casting. Um, Now this is what I wanted to show here because we've been showing a lot of pinups. We've been showing a lot of like these splash
Yeah.
pages, these single page illustrations showing what Charles' skill, his talent as an inker and building these compositions. But this
Sure.
is Charles as a sequential artist. This is like
Yeah.
another level of there's plenty of talented pinup artists, but can they do sequentials?
Mm-hmm.
And Charles is dropping the mic right here. This is showing how he can do sequentials, and this is taking that whole all those years of studying and appreciating the genre of crime noir, and now he's pouring that in to his book. And here we see it right here. I'm just gonna like scroll through these and just uh, you know, Charles, you can like tell me when to stop and if you want to like talk about it. But I just want everybody to appreciate just what Charles is bringing to the story.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
on this one right here it's a publishing shot of Manhattan there, and I wanted to just kind of give a real locale and that there's some energy going on there. We got a
Mhm.
world championship boxing fight going on.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you captured that because anybody that's been to Times Square or been to Manhattan, um, you can. I remember vividly, like when I first started working, and I went to go visit one of my aunts that lived up there. I drove up there with one of my friends, and when we arrived, I think it was like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. But we
Yeah.
said, you know what, we're only going to be here for like a weekend. Let's go ahead and go into Times Square. And I had to tell you, any bit of exhaustion that I felt like totally dissipated because as soon as you walked into Times Square, there was like an energy that was coming off the streets
Yeah.
that would make you. And I look at this
Yeah.
piece and
Yeah.
it reminds me of that. I think you captured that beautifully in here. Is that it's like maybe I need to have this artwork ready to go. So like when I feel completely like tired and don't want to do anything, I'll just pull up some of Charles'
Yeah.
artwork and I can see the energy that you were able to capture in this.
Well,
Yeah, I think
thank
this is
you.
really really neat to have that to show that establishing shot. Um, and then we were talking about this yesterday about what you're doing with crime noir. The few crime noir books that I've looked at, I never it's actually let me give a little bit of context here. Let's go to this page. Okay, so this is like I think it's because crime noir has a very like time period centric look to it. It's like the Dick Tracy. You think of Dick Tracy when you think of crime noir, unless you think of the Frank Miller style.
Yeah.
But you think of it as being
Yeah.
this kind of comic page layout. Very traditional. It has its place, but it actually is since it's indicative of that time period. It actually complements it. You get a very
Mhm.
like a Silver Age look when you look at this, and the inking is very traditional and it's just straight up panel work that's verticals and horizontals. Love it. I think this
Right.
fits it. But then what you do this, and this is still crime
Yeah.
noir, but you're using diagonals now for your panels, and
Yeah. Yeah. I
I think
wanted
this
to
is
throw some things in there to pull the eye. You know.
yeah, and it's what you said when you were talking about Stan Lee. Like the 7 pages of action and the 7 pages of like maybe just
Yeah.
narrative that's like maybe
Right.
dialogue or just a subtle nothing so dramatic. But here you've decided to use this is the gun battle, so let's do that, but let's mix it up with these panels. And
Right.
the panel configurations are great. It's a great. That's the thing about sequential storytelling is that not every panel is its own little art piece, but when you look at the panels as a whole, that's sequential storytelling. Where it goes from one page or
Right.
one panel to the next panel, how it leads your eye, how it allows
Right.
you to tell the story. That even if you were to take all the word bubbles out of it, you could be able to be able to, as a reader, if the artist is successful, you can tell the story without even uttering a word in a word bubble.
Right.
Fantastic,
Right.
fantastic artwork. Just really, really
So
cool.
that was
Uh,
look at read like a zigzag pattern. In the
yes.
top panel, you see the guns going off. You follow you go down to you see his face there. Then you go to the gun. Then you go back to the shot on the again. So you get kind of the zigzag thing going. You know,
Yeah,
that was
I noticed that too.
kind of
Uh-huh. And I think like the eye movement too. Like you have the profile of his eye, but he's looking back down. So that these are all little
yeah.
subconscious things as an illustrator that you're successfully doing in terms of leading the eye of the viewer throughout the entire page. And even like the way that you have these tiles or bricks that are in the background too, and even they are the lighting source helps lead your eye into this as well. And this is actually a double challenge because you're not even it's black and white, so you're not even relying on color to help
Right.
move the eye.
Right.
You're using just black and white inks. Incredible work, I have to say
Yeah. It's
that.
tough to do.
Really really great stuff. Here's some other pages,
Thank you.
and of course these are more dialogue heavy, so you can see that Charles is very good at like even building a page that has a lot of dialogue, but it's still very interesting. Moves your eye across it.
Thank you.
And here, I think this is good because it shows an example of how you're actually doing like those um, panels that do have that horizontal verticality to it, but then you off kilter it and put a little bit of a
Yeah.
diagonal in there too. And again,
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
like it builds up to it because the action happens in the latter part of the page. So by you doing
Yeah.
that tilt, it actually adds more to the action, adds more to the drama. So very very
Yes.
cool.
Right.
You keep on going here. So I want everybody to just really, if you're watching this, this is an example of what you're going to get if you support Charles' Kickstarter. You're going to see some really quality artwork. You get to see his masterful use of black and white and his visual language that he's developed with his art style. And it's just amazing. And again, here, I guess I wanted to end on this, is that we have the love for New York and having the Statue of Liberty.
Right.
And you can see here between the black and white and the color, just phenomenal work. Kudos to you. Before we go to your Kickstarter page, is there anything else that you wanted to like talk about? Any of the art here? Did you want me to like go to a specific page, and is there a story behind a page that you want to like talk about?
I could probably comment on that's going to be the back of the book. So you have the back cover and the front cover. That'll be the back cover. Some some type on there about a synopsis of the book and things. So I wanted something that would be simple, monochromatic, set of mood for the crime noir mood for this. What's going to take place? Look, so you see the cover and you flip it over and you go, I wonder if this will be any good. You hope you catch them established enough with that shot there that gives them a little bit of what's going on with the mood and the story.
Well, I tell you that I look at this piece, and for me, it's actually even though it's a crime noir and a story of vengeance, and like it's like I look at this piece, and it's actually very hopeful. I mean, you even put the shooting star in there, and I'm like, wow, it's like if the cover doesn't catch you, look at the back cover, and you can kind of say like, yeah, there's a bit of hope in here. So like it's like in a world, filled with crime, there's a hope in Cold Kutter. I don't know. I can't do a really good movie voice, but I just really think that was a really nice juxtaposition. I don't know if that's the correct word, but it's a nice way of showing the cover. And then you have this back cover, which obviously has this patriotic feel to it. Can't help but feel hopeful, and it's New York. So very very cool art. So let me let's talk about the Kickstarter. So let me stop sharing this, and let me share.
Yes.
Let's share that Kickstarter, because this is where we want people to go. Not right now, but we want people to go check this out. And I'm going to bring this up. And here we go. So this is Cold Kutter. And let me copy the link here. And I'm going to put this into the comment field. And it's the shorter version, so you don't have to do that. But if you go to Kickstarter, if you type in Charles Cold Kutter issue 1, I'm sure that would be enough keywords to find this campaign. But at the bottom, there's a kind of a truncated link. It is in the comment field, so you can copy and paste it too. But I'm just going to leave this up right here. This is Cold Kutter issue 1. I got 15 backers, 18 more days to go. Just starting out, so don't now it's only 834, $2,000 goal, but I see that this is going to build up some momentum. I really think that there's quality art, storytelling. Charles has gotten some phenomenal talent to do some alternative covers. Just really really cool stuff. So I'm going to scroll through this and show some of the additional artwork and the creative team. Charles, while I'm doing that, I'm going to let you chalk this up. Give us your feedback in terms of like your Kickstarter experience and like what's about this, what you'd like people to know about this campaign. And we'll go from there.
So we got this. We got the Kickstarter launched. I've had a lot of help from Philip Page up, and he's assistant editor right there that you got on the screen, and you know, a lot of help to me as far as getting that done. So we got launched, and we had a live called CreatorCon, and we moved forward. All the original art was so, like you know. So I had like a cover that Kenny Calderon did, the original art. That's gone. That I did. That's gone. I've got 4 more pieces that were, you know, today. So if we get that level pieces of art that can be pledged on, and I think it's going to be interesting. Pieces of art, they're all done by me. You know, so I've really took my, and yes, and then we're also going to be adding another pledge goal. It's going to be a blank sketch cover, Joe Rubenstein sketch cover pledge. So that'll be another tier, pledge tier, that'll be added. So
okay, so that's at the. Oh, you haven't added it yet to the campaign? Or is it?
Added that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as
I was just scrolling through.
It's not been added yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was wanting to have it up for the show today, but difficulty there. So it'll probably be
no problem
tomorrow.
It's actually, I feel good because it's an exclusive here to Comics Cast. Let It Out. Charles has told us it's going to be coming soon, so it's an exclusive. It's going to be you said it's a sketch cover by Joe Rubenstein. Is that correct?
What you'll be able to do? You'll be able to pledge on a sketch cover. So we get our blank cover from the printer. You know, depending on what you want, we'll send that cover to Joe, and Joe's going to draw a Cold Kutter on that cover, and then it's going to go to the pledger, right? So, so the backer will receive not a blank, but a Joe Rubenstein sketch cover. So
gotcha.
That's going to be a new pledge goal.
That is awesome. So, like I said, I want everybody to know it is in the comments field, this link. But of course, if you type in Charles Cold Kutter issue number 1 when you go to Kickstarter, you will find the campaign. Help support this indie creator. If you have watched the show, you can see he's a phenomenal talent. He has a story to tell, and it would be my absolute joy to know that this got funded. We have 18 more days to go, and I think this is completely plus. Yeah, 18 more days. I think this would be completely possible. A $2,000 goal. It's my honor to get the word out to showcase you as a creator, because I think this is a phenomenal story. I think it needs to be told. It needs to be seen. And I got to show some of those pages. Those sequential pages are also featured on this page, so you will know what it's going to get. And this is something that's so important to me as a person that wants to help indie creators not only get the word out, but if I can afford it, to purchase their books. But some of the things that I have to absolutely have as the basis for me to put my support is knowing where the book is at that time. You know, like is it doesn't even have to be a book. If it's like anything on Kickstarter, is knowing what the status of something that I'm backing. And when I talked to you, Charles, yesterday, you told me something about this book. What is it about this book right now?
It's finished. So when
100% finished.
When this campaign is over to printers, okay, so we're going to try to fulfill this pretty quickly. Hoping, we can't really say how long it takes to get back to printers, but by January it would be in your hands. So if you pledge on this book, it's pretty quick.
Yes. And now that's important to know, because obviously in this day and age with supply chain issues, with paper issues and stuff like that, those are out of Charles's hands, things that he can't control. But the things that he can control, which is the art, the book having the files ready to print. As soon as this gets funded, he's just going to be able to press the button, send it to the printer, and it's just a matter of getting the logistics down in terms of making sure that the printer has the supply to print the books, and then it's to you. So there is no waiting for other pages to be done, or if anything, maybe it's that tier that if you have to have a custom sketch cover that needs to be done. That's the only thing that could like slow something down. But the book is done. The story's written. In fact, I think Charles, you said you're ready to go with issue 2. We saw a little preview there. We got to see it's like what will Dylan do? So he's
right. I'm working on
Charles
it now.
is ready. Yeah, Charles is ready and roaring to get issue work on issue 2. But you got to get issue 1 done. We need to get it backed. We need to get it supported. We need this campaign fulfilled. So definitely go check that out. 18 more days. Let's make it happen. Support indie creators. Support Charles. So that being said, let me go ahead and move this from the screen, and I want to see Charles's face up, a little bit closer here. So, all right. So, Charles. Okay. So we talked about Cold Kutter. We talked about where you are at presently. We hinted about the future. You're starting to work on issue number 2. We kind of hinted a little bit about like if you weren't going to do Cold Kutter, or if you beyond Cold Kutter, you were thinking about maybe doing a sci-fi thing. So let's talk about the future. What, aside from the sci-fi and continue to tell the story of Cold Kutter, what is the future? What is the future for Charles?
Aside from Cold Kutter and aside from sci-fi,
yes.
Well, we're gonna work on Cold Kutter. I'm thinking for a while, but aside from trying to try to create more ideas, and more future that we can phase into, at some point. So I've got some things going on that I'm thinking to I don't want to say too much about right now. But,
yeah. All right. It's top secret. Basically, that's what you're saying. I as a fan of yours, I'm going to do my best to like try and get as much secret information out of you without spoiling anything. So I want people to know that Charles's mad creator mind is still working. He's a Cold Kutter. Who knows? Maybe he can get up to like issue 100. We'll see what happens with that. But he's always thinking of new stories, and he's always drawing. He's always practicing, always honing his craft, and we got to showcase that today.
Right.
So that being said, we talked about the future. We're going to move to the last part of the show, which is the part where I get a little bit of weepy-eyed because I know this means it's getting close to the end. And that's what we call, or what we affectionately call, is the Oscar speech. And don't worry about it. Oscar speech has definitely gotten a bad rap because of Mr. Will Smith. Don't worry about me reaching across the screen and smacking you. And, if you want to come smack me, you can definitely do that. But that means I can meet you face to face. I'll gladly take the smack if it means that I can meet you, Charles. I'm going to give the mic back to you. And I would like you to just give us your Oscar speech. Whatever your final thoughts are. If you want to say any thank yous to anybody, the mic is now in your hands. I'm going to solo your screen. So give us your Oscar speech.
Yeah. So I would like to thank all my backers. Thank you for that. Thank you for believing in this project. I'd like to thank some people: Jack, Philip Russer, Kenny Calderon, Joe Rubenstein, and of course Joe. A lot of his instruction and stuff like along that line. And just a bunch of people, some people who colored the book, Giorgio Rosasco, and I got Jason Meadows has lettered the book. He just does phenomenal. But yeah, I would like to thank them, and just would like to say that give this you can get a $5 PDF. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Drinks, a couple of Cokes now, and you could do that. You could actually $10 plus shipping. You'd have a book in your hand. But if you don't really want a book in your hand, you just want to read the story, PDF. We have actually, a whole package, different packages. So if you want every cover, you can get a package that has all 5 books, regular covers, and so there's multiple ways to back this project. And if you don't read comics even, and you're watching this, that'd be wonderful. But yeah, I think this Cold Kutter book is just it's really as I had imagined. And of course, nothing's ever perfect, and you go back, well, I'll do that little different next time. But I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of the story. Established writers to read the story, they say it's well written. That it's enjoyable. We're not even fans of crime noir, but for some reason they like the pacing that's in this. It's a revenge tale, and there's some human and some real emotion in the story. It's just not shoot them up and leave them as character development. We're actually going to have one of the characters will be a major metamorph or two. But if we can't do issue number 1, then we can't get to number 2. So we really like to see this thing funded. We got 18 days to go. And I everyone who's pledged so far, thank you.
Awesome. I love that Oscar speech. And yet you couldn't have said it. I could have said it better myself. 18 more days to make this thing happen. And like you said, one of the characters in issue number 1 is going to go through a major metamorphosis. And the only way that you can see this happen is if issue 1 gets funded and it's ready to go. The story is done. The pages are done. It just needs to get backers behind it so that this campaign can be fulfilled.
Yep. Right.
And once it's met, then it can be sent out, and then issue 2 is already in the works. So help make this thing happen. I think it's going to be a treat. You're going to like you said, you're going to get to see, or like he said, effort that went into it. You got to see the artwork, great storytelling. It's a revenge tale. If you're a fan of crime noir, you can check it out. But even if you're not, great story. You're going to be able to see great story, great art. So that being said, look at the bottom. That's how you can follow, and support Charles. Aside from the Kickstarter, this is where you can find him on Instagram and Twitter. And I can't say anymore how highly I think that how high I think this IP can go. I really enjoyed having you here on the show, Charles, and I think it's a phenomenal you're a phenomenal talent. It's going to be great to see where this goes from there. That being said, yeah, this is where I get a little weepy, but we got to let Charles enjoy the rest of his Sunday, because I could talk to him for another hour or so. But that being, we end all of our shows with promoting one of our charity friends. We are not financially tied to them at all, but we feel it's our honor to get the awareness out for them, and that is, let me pull that up. That is Golden Fight. So if you check the URL, you can find them on. Oops, I pulled up the wrong one. So well, I guess I should put that in there. Sarah says, "Good luck for the next issue, Charles." So I guess that'd be good to go ahead and show that. But this is the comment that I wanted to show. This is goldenfight.org. Goldenfight.org. They are a charity organization that I like to say is small enough and big enough at the same time. Now, small enough in the sense that they are not like international or national for that matter. They're actually in the Mid-Atlantic region, in my neck of the woods. And this is where they are big enough. They have big hearts, huge hearts. What is their mission? What is their organization about? They help families who have children that are going through difficult illness like cancer. So when those families are focusing on the healing of inevitably they will experience some financial difficulties. Golden Fight comes in. This is where they come in huge. They raise money to help these families that are dealing with these financial problems or these financial difficulties. And I thought that it was like a 97, 98% of that money would go to the families, and that like very nominal, that very small amount, like that 1-2%, would help deal with like maybe administrative things that any charity or any organization would have to deal with. But I was wrong. 100% of the money they raise goes to these families. It is a labor of love for the leadership and all the volunteers and everybody that works for Golden Fight. Do this because they do it with a huge heart, and they do it voluntarily, and so that they can make sure that any money that's donated to Golden Fight goes directly to the families 100%. So if there is a charity you want to check out, Golden Fight might be one of those charities, and read up on them. And if it's within your means and you want to contribute, please consider Golden Fight. I think they're a great class organization, and we're looking forward to hopefully doing some sort of joint benefit for them in the future. But again, check out goldenfight.org. So let me minimize this, get this off the screen. And I want to, one last time, put this up here. This is how you can follow Charles on Instagram and Twitter. Look for him on Kickstarter. He has a campaign that's currently going. It needs your help. Your help to make it see the light of day. It has been my honor to show that creativity. Talk about your artistic journey, Charles. Make sure that the world knows who you are. And I'd like to say this is the beginning of a great storytelling journey that you're going to be doing for years to come. I envy you. Any of my guests that come on here that can take that step, put themselves out there creatively, because in this day and age, there is no better time with all the turmoil that's kind of like going on there. There is a lot of like things to celebrate. There are a lot of things to see that the creativity that's thriving in some of this chaos that's going on right now. And I think creatives that have maybe been on the fence about like their story, I think now is like the best time to do it. There's more success from indie creatives now, and it's just been a pleasure for me to see you doing that. So Charles, thank you for being my guest on the show. Love your work. I want everybody to make sure to follow Charles on Instagram and Twitter and back his campaign. The Cold Kutter on Instagram. So it has been a pleasure to have a show. Another edition of Comics Cast. Let it out. Closing out. We will see you next weekend for a future episode. Always stay creative and keep on trying. We love you. See you next weekend.